The video game industry can be a tumultuous business. Just look at all of the video games that never came out. Many of the most anticipated video games weren't able to deliver on their hype because they never made it to the shelves. Forget the games that flopped after years of build-up, these are anticipated video games that disappeared. From doomed projects with powerful licenses behind them, like Star Wars or Batman, to hyped sequels that were never released, such as Silent Hills and Prey 2, game studios and publishers sometimes let their fans down due to lack of resources or manpower. Sometimes, cancellations are out of the developer's hands, though, as big publishers change strategies or sell studios and licenses all too frequently. In most cases, these scrapped projects are a real bummer, as they seemingly had potential to be some of the greatest games ever made. 1. Fable Legends. Fable Legends was a cooperative action RPG prequel to the original Fable trilogy from Lionhead Studios. The game pit 4 unique heroes against a villain in both online multiplayer and single-player adventures. 4 players could control the heroes while 1 player stepped into the role of the villain, who basically served as dungeon master and controlled aspects of the heroes' adventure. The villain could deploy monsters, spring traps, and ambush the heroes. Fable Legends was basically a tabletop RPG for consoles and PC. The game was not to be though. After it was delayed to 2016, an open beta was released. Shortly after the beta, Fable Legends was cancelled and Lionhead was closed. 2. The Dark Knight. When WB knew it had a resounding success on its hands with The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's second Batman movie, the studio quickly went to work on farming out a video game based on the film. Pandemic Studios, the developer behind action games such as Star Wars, Battlefront, Mercenaries, and Destroy All Humans, was tapped to create an open-world Batman game that would bring the Dark Knight's fight against the Joker to consoles. Interestingly enough, the game was never officially announced. Instead, the game was confirmed through comments made by Gary Oldman, Jim Gordon, in an interview with the now-defunct Game Trailers. But when Pandemic, and its parent company Electronic Arts, didn't release the game alongside the movie in 2008, it spelled doom for the project. Indeed, the Dark Knight game was cancelled soon after and Pandemic was shuttered for good. Fortunately for Batman fans, the beloved Arkham Asylum arrived just a year later. 3. Prey 2. Before Arcane released 2017's Prey, a reimagining of the original game from Human Head Studios, there was a sequel in the works. Prey 2 would have featured a new protagonist named Killian Samuels, a bounty hunter on an alien world called Exodus, and it would have been an open-world game. Unfortunately, a tumultuous relationship between Human Head and Bethesda, the publisher that acquired the rights to Prey after the release of the first game, put the nail in the coffin for this project. Bethesda claimed that Human Head was not meeting the publisher's quality standards, while Human Head says Bethesda tried to acquire them throughout development. Afterward, Bethesda tried to revive Prey 2 at a few different studios. Still, the game didn't meet Bethesda's expectations, and the project was cancelled for good in 2014. 4. Agent. Any new IP from Rockstar Games is enough to break the internet, so when a new stealth game from the makers of Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption was announced, fans went berserk. Agent would have taken place in the 70s during the Cold War era of espionage. The game would have arrived exclusively for the PlayStation 3. But little was heard about the game after its initial reveal in 2009. By 2013, the game was all but dead after Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar's parent company, had failed to re-register trademarks for the game. 5. Star Fox 2. After Nintendo's 1993 space rail shooter Star Fox became a hit on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, a sequel was quickly pushed into development with a 1996 release date. Unfortunately, Star Fox 2 was cancelled before it ever hit shelves. The game featured a few new gameplay mechanics, such as non-linear gameplay progression across the Lilith system. There were also 2 new members of the Star Fox team, including Faye, a dog, and Miyu, a lynx. Star Fox 2's eventual cancellation had to do with the release of the Nintendo 64, which was set to arrive in stores the same year as the SNES game. Nintendo preferred to start work on a fresh Star Fox game for the N64. While a prototype of Star Fox 2 was leaked years later, the game finally saw the light of day as part of the SNES Classic Edition retro console released by Nintendo in 2017. 6. Insane. Film director Guillermo del Toro has been trying to make a video game for years. Before his ill-fated collaboration with Hideo Kojima on Silent Hills, there was Insane, a horror project from Volition, the creators of the Saints Row series. The game was announced in 2010 with a short teaser trailer that didn't reveal much. Del Toro said of the project, "With this new series of video games, I want to take players to a place they have never seen before, where every single action makes them question their own senses of morality and reality." Star Wars 1313. Star Wars 1313, a game that would have featured a young Boba Fett surviving in the criminal underground of Coruscant, died an agonizing death after Disney bought out Lucasfilm and all of its subsidiaries, including developer LucasArts. An early E3 demo in 2012 showed an impressive action-adventure game with a much grittier tone than past Star Wars titles. Full of third-person shooting, gadgets, and explosions, 1313 promised a cinematic experience unlike anything that had ever been done in a Star Wars game. Unfortunately, a year after the game was first announced, LucasArts ceased in-house development and 1313 was shelved. There was the possibility that development would continue at a third-party studio, but that's yet to become a reality. Silent Hills. Silent Hills could very well be the greatest horror game never made. Spearheaded by video game auteur Hideo Kojima and film director Guillermo del Toro, this Silent Hill sequel would have starred Norman Reedus in a horror experience so twisted that even its demo is the stuff of legend. The game was first announced through a mysterious demo called PT, which tasks players with walking through a creepy house over and over while solving puzzles and facing the supernatural terrors that haunt its corridors. PT was so terrifying that it briefly became a word-of-mouth sensation. With this demo, Kojima and Del Toro promised a truly terrifying horror game unlike any ever developed, which makes the game's eventual cancellation all the more heartbreaking. When Kojima had a falling out with publisher Konami during the development of Metal Gear Solid V: The Phantom Pain, the developer left the company and the game was swiftly cancelled.